No. Evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're all safe in the storm. Didn't do too much damage to yourselves or your houses or garden or, anything. I think it's actually passed now, hopefully. But we'll find out what happens tonight. So tonight we are joined again by this lovely lady, Catherine, from Unlocked Paranormal. Thanks for coming back in, Kat.
No problem at all. I'm glad to be back.
How are you?
Yeah, all right. So I'm just going to turn this phone down because it's going to keep making noises at me.
You should have that on silent.
It's on silent now.
It should have been on silent before.
I'm an important person. I need to take my calls when I need to.
Well, you see, this is the trouble. When you're in a business like ours, you know what I mean? And everybody wants to talk to you.
It was just my dad. It wasn't that important.
I was trying to up you a wee bit there. I was trying to ramp it up a wee bit. You just kind of shot that one right down, didn't you? It's all right. You'll know for next time. So, Kat's you joining. We were out with Kat and her team on Friday night at Loudon Kirk. So tonight we're just going to be going over what happened, and it was Kat and her team's first time there. And just going over what happened and what they thought of it and all the usual riffraff. Do you know what I mean? So it was your first time doing Loudon. Well, it's your first time yours as well. So you better say something nice.
It was a very pleasant experience.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's lovely. That's nice. So we took a few teams to Loudon Kirk, and I've also said as soon as they walk in the gate, that you can just feel there's an atmosphere, whatever you want to call it. What was your first impression of it?
It was very calm. I don't mean like calm as in nothing's happening. I mean like a calm energy. Like there was no... some places you go to and you kind of get your hackles up and you go, oh, it's a bit creepy. You'd think a graveyard or a kirk would be like that, but it wasn't. It was a very peaceful... It felt safe. It felt like a safe atmosphere. And like there was no anxiety, there was no... Like I could have spent the whole night in there, like, and not felt any fear. Whereas like you go to other places and you're like, oh, I'm not staying here. But it was a very nice, almost like a welcoming energy.
I'm glad you said the welcoming, but we've always felt that at Loudon. We've been doing Loudon, as I said the other night, for the best part of 4 years now. And we've never... When we first started investigating it, there's Laura in. Laura was here on Friday.
Hi, Laura.
When we first started investigating it, we felt down the back that there was a presence, shall we say, and they were going back and forward between, up and down at the back of the kirk. And we couldn't work out who it was or why they were there. And the girls they would never ever get near the back of the kirk, even during the day as well. It wasn't negative, or we didn't feel negative or evil or anything like that. We just felt, there's somebody there, and they just came getting back and forward. And we took the other teams that went in, they all said the same thing. Cat for Paranormal Exposures, they're to Idaho. Is it Idaho or Iowa?
Iowa.
I always get too mixed up. They were and they said the exact same thing. There's somebody walking back and forward. But then we eventually were able to establish who it was and why they were there. But Laura seen him, Rigger for Spigs saw him as well. So we know who it was and why he was there. But it wasn't, as you say, it's quite a welcoming place. You don't feel threatened or, anything negative or anything. The only place we've ever felt that is Canongate Kirk. Years ago, we went in, and it wasn't evil or demonic or any of that bollocks, It was just, we felt we weren't wanted there. You ever had that? You walked into a place and you felt, well, we're not welcome here.
Well, you've just walked into the wrong house.
Aye, or a family gathering when nobody likes you, we don't want you here, but bugger off, But that's the only time that we've ever felt anything negative. We've watched teams go to Loudon and they'll come out with all this crap, witches and there's something demonic here, and it's really, really negative, and we're not. It annoys you watching them.
Mm-hmm. The witch thing, that Scotland, that annoys me, right? Because Scotland's got Scotland and Britain's got a rich history with witches, and everyone hears witch, and well, not everyone, but you get folk that use the witch word, and they hear witch, and they're like, oh, evil, creepy witches, and like burnt at the stake and all that. And that's not back then when you had witches, and not all of them, but most of them, it was like midwives. It was women practicing natural medicine. It was women trying to help other women and men, like going into like midwifery and herbal medicine and all that, and they get branded as witches. And the 21st century has decided witches are evil. That makes them bad. And like when you hear, I don't know if it's teams or other like paranormal groups branding the word witch about as if it's a bad thing, like they're trying to form up an atmosphere and create a history that wasn't there. And there's always been a history of witches across Scotland, especially like the East Coast, everywhere. There's a website you can go on. It's got a map of all the witches, and they're across the country. But they're not evil. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of them are probably bad people, like in everything. But it's not. Oh, I put that in silent. Witches. They're not negative entities, but people try and use that term to make it seem negative. And it, like, sorry, I've just went a rant there. It's just a bugbear of mine because Scotland does have a history of witchcraft and witches, but they're not.
You don't need to sorry though. I'm on board with you. We the three Lawrence, we're on board. Laura's mum was a midwife for 45 years, and Laura's mum's a lovely wee woman. Nice wee woman you couldn't meet, salt of the earth. But no, I know what you mean. They use the word. I mean, obviously down through time, there's probably been, people who were actual witches and practice the dark arts and all that kind of, but the biggest majority, as you say, were midwives or, they're into their herbs and all the rest of it. They were just different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just different folk. Or a lot of them are unmarried women, so they get branded as.
Your mother is a lovely wee woman, Laura. See, next time I see her, I'm going to tell you says that. I've got that in black and white now. Is she though? She's a nice wee woman. If they were spinsters and etc.
So it's if they're unmarried and a spinster, it must mean that they're a witch. It must mean there's something wrong with them. Like they were just given a bad rap, weren't they? Just for being single women, essentially. And guys, it was guys that were branded witches as well.
Guys didn't. The majority were women, but guys didn't escape it either. That could easily be. And the thing is, as soon as the finger was pointed at you, that was it. You were doomed. You were condemned, basically. Mm-hmm. But I mean, teams go in and they use the term witches and stuff, and it's just all for effect. It's all to get clout. And I'd actually had a small argument. Well, not an argument. What would you call it? Be
what?
Earlier on with that other team with comments.
A debate.
A friendly debate, shall we say. They'd done a location in Laura's birthmarks as well. They were seen as a sign from the devil. Exactly. But this team had done a location near us, and it says there was witches there. And so I commented, we've covered all the witch trials, etc., and we spoke to different people, and there's no evidence of witches in that particular area. Round about, yes, and they hit me back and said, "What's your problem with your expert comment?" And so I went back to him. I says, "No, I have not mentioned the word expert at any time." He says, "I'm just telling you, to your knowledge, there's no thing a witches in that area." I says, "I don't see the need for your rude comment and why are you getting all defensive." Do you know what I mean? Did I touch a nerve or something? But they were here a few weeks ago, not here, but at this location, saying, we came back to contact the witches. What bloody witches? And I mean, Laura, she stayed here all day, so Sarah, and I says, any witches at this, Dean Park it is in Kilmarnock. And she says, no, there's no history of witches in Dean Park, but all of a sudden they popped up. Do you know what I mean? And it's just for effect, and it gets really, really annoying. And it's when there's said about Loudon Kirk, it's negative. And when you're sitting there watching it, and you know different. I'm not saying we're experts, we're no. But we know, we've been there 4 years, we've never encountered anything negative. We've been told to F off and stuff like that. You know.
And I get called a two-faced bitch.
And Sarah get called a two-faced bitch. But you get that and all. It doesn't really say that's Satan coming through and calling you or a witch coming through.
I wonder if people bring their own negative spirits with them, unaware, like unbeknownst to them, they've brought something that's like, and they can't differentiate between what's followed them and what's actually with the area they're investigating. That's
a good point. Actually, was the issue I had with said team occasions they were basing evidence or so-called evidence solely on what came through the spirit. They were getting stuff through the spirit box and bang, that's a witch. And the usual kind of, rather than go and look into it, then they put up another video, a door shutting. So I commented, was there did you have a camera on the other side of the door to show both sides? And they came back and said, no, we didn't have a camera, but there was no strings or windows open or anything. And I commented, but I said, I never mentioned strings or what. I only asked if you had another camera on the go. That was a simple question. But no, I know they're bringing it themselves and then they blame the location.
Mm-hmm.
Which I dare say is possible.
Mm-hmm. But if you're continuously going to places and every time you're getting a negative entity, maybe they're not, maybe they're just saying it for effect, but maybe they are. But that would suggest that it's not the area, it might be you. If at every single location you're going to, you're getting a negative presence, maybe it's someone that's attached to you, especially if you've got other teams who've went to the same places and never had any negative experience at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it makes you need to ask the questions, don't you? Like, could it be them?
I know you do. You're totally right. You do need to ask that question to say we've never had anything negative for Loudon at all, and we've got our scout investigations we've done. As I say, we've been told to F off. Sarah's been called names. That's nothing negative. It's maybe just a spirit there that just wasn't in the mood for talking that night. Mm-hmm. But you do need to sit back and look at all the different avenues. Maybe it's no place, maybe it's me. I've got a comment for Laura, I'll stick on a wee minute. Just you see that an attachment falls. All the investigations we've done, we've always felt we've always picked up on a little girl. Whether it be Loudon or the vaults or whatever. And it turns out we know who this little girl is now, and she's attached to me.
Ah, right, okay.
How
many investigations did it take before you thought, oh, wait a minute, I think they might be with me and not with the venue?
We actually found out, I don't know, how many, it's through the last 4.5, 5 years, how many investigations would you say we did before we found out who the wee girl was? Quite a lot, wasn't there?
What wee girl? The wee girl that follows is everywhere, or the wee girl at Loudon?
The wee girl follows everywhere.
It's quite a...
There was a lot.
I'd say it took about 2 years to definitively get an answer. Because obviously we had an incline in who it was, but we definitively got the answer, it's there.
Seriously, we had a kind of idea who it was. And I'll be honest with you, I lost a daughter when she was just under 6 months back in 1992. And we always felt that, maybe this little girl could be my daughter. Because the word dad and daddy was always coming through as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was about 1.5 years ago, we were at a wee place called Stair. It was a wee churchyard in Ayrshire. And I thought, you know what? And I says, can you tell me the toy that I used to put in your bed at night? and we never get anything. I said, can you tell me what colour it was? And he came back green. And our wee one had a wee toy, Rexy for Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
That I used to put in her cot every night. And of course, Rexy's green.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a lone walk in Loudon one Halloween, and my sleeve got pulled twice. It was nobody else, it was a Dempster plot. And so we did an investigation with Rosie Cardi and that, and I said, can you tell me who pulled my sleeve? And it came back, it was me, Daddy.
Oh.
So that kind of, Rosie and everybody heard it, you know. So that kind of nailed who it was. So as you're saying, Kat, maybe they're carrying an attachment around. So maybe, you know, see, this little girl, we're at 95% sure she's my daughter. And we did associate her with different locations, like Alloway and that, but then, so maybe this is the same kind of idea, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, that's weird you say that, Kat. I have an attachment, nothing bad, but Scott explained about my house and car. I just, every time, Laura comes to all different places with us, and every time she's in the back of the car, the middle seat belt, alarm, whatever you want to call it, beeps. And it's happened in different cars.
As if someone's sitting there without their belt on.
If somebody's sitting there without their belt on. And it's not just, it happened in the first time it happened to her, maybe it's a faulty sensor or something. But then we've had another 2-3 cars since then. And it keeps happening. And we can't explain it. So we've carried our own. You get somebody following you. Tell them to put their bloody belt on. And she's felt the same in the house. So I think spirits can, as you say, you're totally right, they can follow you about. So, you know, if these individuals are, because they're constantly going on about demonic and evil and blah, blah, blah. So there is a good chance that something is wandering about with them.
Mm-hmm. You
know, and that's why they keep getting it. But just get back to what you're saying about the witches and all the rest of it. It's so wrong because 95% of these women and men were innocent, but as soon as you hear the word witch, you know, you just associate it with evil and stuff like that, and it's just no right. But see, they were saying there was witches here and there, and you know, there's no history or nothing. And see, that's the other thing I think about research. You know, if you pick up something on investing, then go and research it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? What's your thoughts on that?
So yeah, Maggie, who is in our team, who unfortunately couldn't make it to the investigation, she's her and Graham, another member. They're our main researchers. So usually, Graham will research the history and whatnot of a location, like do a deep dive before we go, and then he keeps it all to himself. He doesn't let anyone in the team know until after the investigation, and then he'll share the information that he's found. Maggie will go to the investigation, and then she'll collate everything that we've picked up, if anything, at that investigation. Then she'll go away and she does a deep dive. She does a lot of research, and it's interesting because you find that Graham's research that he's done prior, and then Maggie that she's picked up whilst there, when it corroborates each other, it's satisfying is not the word. It's a good feeling when you're like we picked that up when we were there, and we've got 2 lots of research to back it up. Like I said, Graham, he will do the deep dive, but we don't get to see or hear any of that until after the investigation. Even until after Maggie's done her research, and then once she's completed hers, they tell us what they've both found. See if it adds up from what we found at the investigation.
That's the best way to do it, I think. You know, because you know, if you do a deep dive before you go to a place, you might turn up, you know, 5 or 6 individual names, you know, and then you go to the place expecting to pick up on these individuals.
You get preconceived notions, haven't you?
You put the thoughts already in there. So, you know, you might get something through the necrophonic. It might sound like Robert's. Well, wait a minute, I get Robert in that research. Mm-hmm. you know, where it's not really Robert. It could be somebody, it could be Fred, or it could be anybody. But to me, he's a bang on, you know. I think that's the best. It's all right if you're going to a new location, you have a wee quick Google, you say, right, well, it was built in, you know, and it's safe or it's unsafe, you know, certain parts of it.
Yeah, aye.
You know, that kind of stuff. But going right into it and digging before you go, and then going armed with all this information, you think, no, that's not really, because as you say, it's you put the thought in there, and so you're expecting to bump into these spirits or, you know, people, whatever. I don't feel scared or apprehensive. I actually feel like there's someone looking after me, but this is only happens when I get picked up from my house, not when I leave from Scott or Sarah's house. So probably somebody sitting in Laura's house, and all right, she's away at Tesco again, let's go, you know, kind of thing. So see, you walked in, you felt kind of welcome. And was there any particular spots that, I know I said to you prior that there was 3, I didn't show you where they were, I just said there were kind of 3 spots where we usually get activity.
So there was initially the back, so if you've just walked in the gate, the very back right hand corner, but actually know how there's a path that goes all the way around. So everything, the way it felt like the path was a boundary, and it was everything within in the path, a circle, everything within the circle. So there was nothing on the other side of the path, but it was all within the path. So as you walk in the gate, the back corner, right hand side, still within the path, where the trees were, that was one location. The Dempster plot was the other location, and then if you go in and you've got the Kirk building, you walked in the gate and then directly to your left, further up there, and I think there was another plot, but all the stones were, there's no stone, it was like big slabs, and they're overgrown, like that location there.
Aye, that's through the side of the crypt where the table stones is.
Yep, there.
That's rude. That's where Rigger and David for Spig, one of the times we were there with him, Rigger and David says they saw a little girl peeking round the side of the crypt she was round the back and she was kind of peeking round. And Rigger and David are totally down to earth. They're no, you know, oh, we've seen this and we've seen that, and you know, you can trust their word 100%. And the two of them round the back looking for her. So that's quite interesting. But I mean, I say the Dempster plot. Now we've had 5 different teams in there, and every time they always get activity at the Dempster plot. You know, like you guys did. What kind of activity did you get?
Well, we got at the port in particular, I believe there was cat ball going off. It took a wee while for it to build up. I think they were kind of sussing. In fact, I think I was maybe putting them off because it wasn't until I walked away that it started kicking off. There was the K2, I think cat ball went off, and then we'd set up the torches. The torch went on. I don't want to say commands as if you're command spirits, but on when we asked for them to manipulate the torch was manipulated. But it wasn't until I walked away and left the guys there that it all started happening. Which is usually always the case. As soon as I leave, it all starts happening.
We try to say people don't like you or something.
I think I must intimidate them. They just must not like me.
You're not a witch or anything, are you?
No, I can't say that I am, no. Not a negative one. And then there was more. So that was, I'd say, if I say electronic activity, I mean they were interfering with their devices. And then at the plot in the corner, I can't remember whose plot that was. It was Wes. There was some manipulation of the torch, but that was where we heard walking on the path, like walking up and down the path in the boundary. But we also heard that at the table crypts as well. So I don't know if it was something that's confined to the path and just makes its way around the entire path. Because it was a few times, and it was clear as day. Like there's a few times we thought it was maybe yourself or someone coming up the path, and there's nobody there. Because you guys, you were in the middle of the Kirk, and we could see him. And we're like, no, they're all sitting over there. And then we thought, is there somebody else? Is there someone else in here? Is there someone else come in? And there wasn't. But it was like, no, it was crunchy leaves. Like you could hear the crunching. And then occasionally it was like whispering. And we'd be like, what's the whispering? And then as you go you go to see, and then it stops, and you can't quite figure out what it was. But that was at that corner, and then down at the other one. So I don't know if it's something that's walking around the path that's like that can't go off the path. Maybe I don't know if it being a circle is significant. But I almost felt as if they weren't allowed to cross that line.
So as I said a couple of times before, I'll stick on a wee second. I'm really glad you said that, because a couple of reasons. One is, I mean, that, as you say, that personal consecrated the grasses, the personal.
Right.
And that is usually another team that can back up the footsteps and the whispering. We've had that quite a few. Other teams have picked up on it as well. When Highland Paranormal were doing as well, they sort, you know, they could hear the footsteps on the outside. We've always felt, as I said earlier on, there was somebody walking at the back, the back of the cut on the path, which we found out was Mr. Dempster. But no, everybody says about footsteps going round, particularly in that area. I had a REM pod once. I sat a REM pod down. It was a clear summer's night, and I was just sat on the path, and I was walking back over it, and the REM pod kept going off. Just on that where where we were standing. I really say it was wildlife or something, but then I was next to it. Well, not next to it, but I was near it, and it went off, and there was nothing. There was no mice or rabbits or anything, you know. But something made that REM pod go off. So that area, there seems to be a lot of footsteps in that area, and I'm so glad that you heard them as well.
Was that the same area where was it yourself and Sean saw the branch rotate?
Aye, I was going to come to it. That was I'll stick these comments up first, and then I'll come with that. That was but then you need to remember we also seen a little girl, but in a photograph. I told you about that photograph, didn't I?
I'm sure he did. Aye.
But she was there. There must have been about 8 or 10 of there, and everybody seen the photograph at the same time, and there was a little girl peeking out from behind that Celtic cross.
That you did tell me about it.
And then I looked at the photo later on, she was gone.
Mm.
No, we're not saying it's paranormal, but we all seen it, and she was near in the photograph later on. That's all I can say about it. Laura makes a good point. Mr. Dempster seems to prefer men to women. James Dempster, he lived back in the 1800s. He passed in 1892, and he was quite a prominent farmer. But he does seem to prefer talking to men. And so that's, I was thinking, maybe that's the way it was back then. I'm not saying I'm not being sexist or anything. You know.
Oh no, it's just part of the times, isn't it?
Society. You know, women were seen as, I don't know, you know, they weren't equal to men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the main thing, the main industry in that area was farming. So the majority would have been farmers would have been men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he does seem to prefer women to chatting to. He does seem to prefer men to women.
Mm-hmm. Was he a landowner as well as a farmer?
Aye, the farm that he owned is about a quarter of a mile from. We've investigated the farm as well, and the owners have said that there's stuff happened up there. So the cottage of the farm, which is about, you can see it from the Kirk, and then the land on it as well. He was originally from Dumfries, him and his wife Christina. They moved up here from Dumfries, but he was quite a prominent farmer back in the 1800s. Hence elaborate cryptic they've got.
Quite
they've got.
Quite an affluent. Not a labourer.
No, he wasn't just a labourer. Women then were seen as wives and mothers and not having an opinion, but his cat says that is what that was the way life was back then. So he's obviously still holding these values.
Mm-hmm.
You know. because that's how it was. The plot itself, the other thing that struck me, I mean, I know during the Second World War, a load of iron railings were cut down to use for, ammunition. The Dempster plot was detached. Some people say, so what, but if you think about why was it, because there's quite a wee bit of iron there, so why was that all not taken? And there was also a gate there at some point.
Okay, on the bottom.
Aye, there was obviously some kind of gate there, I would imagine, but it's quite an elaborate plot, which again shows that they must have had money back then, and the whole family's in there as well. But get back the branch, the branch was, I don't know, about that length or something, and I can't mind the guy's name. Him. I can't mind the boy's name.
Sorry, Sean. It was Sean.
Sean. The two were standing, and it was well lit, because I had a torch and used other lights on it, and I saw it at the exact same time as him. I'll try to find something that can, so the branch was kind of like that, and it turned. So I don't know if anybody else seen it.
No, we were facing. So interestingly, I think at that particular point we weren't actually calling out. We were chatting, we were talking, and it always happens. It's when you're just talking about anything. I think we were discussing where we were going to go next, and then it was you and Sean were like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And we were like, "What?" And then you were like, "That branch, that's just moved. It's just," and we were all, we weren't all anywhere near it. We were all spread far out. I think I was stood on the path. Paul was at the other side. Was it an old gardener's hut or?
It was a kind of old where they used to keep the tools and stuff like that. As far as we know.
Way down there. You were stood up the hill a wee bit. Sean was to your right, and then Daniel was way like at the other side. So there was nobody anywhere near it, and we weren't asking for anything. I'm sure it's almost as if we were talking about where do you want to go next, and then it's done that as if to say, "Oh no, you have to stay here. Like don't go anywhere."
That's a good point. I'll cover that in a second. But as I say, it's first time I've ever seen anything like that. Even stuff moving. I've tried Greyfriars when we first started out. It was a phone, wasn't it?
Aye.
It was a phone. We were at the side of the Mackenzie crypt, and the phone was moving. It didn't skate a crowd. It just moved very, very slow. But we were standing watching it. And then with the K2 getting up. Eh?
The phone done a full circle.
Aye, but it didn't spin. It was slow.
Aye, it was like slow moving. Like a clock ticking.
Aye, it was like a clock ticking. The phone just kind of turns round. Caldwell K2 get knocked over, and then that branch is when you actually see it. And then Sean said at the same time as me, so I knew it wasn't me. Because if you remember at the Dempster plot, the guy with glasses, I'm terrible with names.
So am I.
He was, the 2 years thought the torch was moving.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was kind of, it looked as if it was going from side to side. But I thought, well, the 2 years of wearing glasses, his glasses maybe get something to do with it. Because yous looked and yous couldn't see it. But to thinking it definitely looked like it was wiggling, for want of a better word. But could that be done to having the specs? But no, the branch, when Sean says he saw it, I was so glad because I thought, it's no me. Sometimes you think you maybe see something.
Yeah.
And you could, like say, one time we were at Dempster plot and I looked out to the left and I swear I saw a little girl peek out for a bush, but it was like a millisecond she was gone. But I was the only one that seen it, so then I need to question myself, did I see it or was it just my mind because we were trying to talk to a little girl at the time or whatever?
Yeah.
But it's when you get somebody else that sees it at the same time as you.
It can verify what you've seen.
Aye, and you're a nutcase. And it was, so as I say, it just went, it was with that, and then it went like that, just moved.
And it's not even a slight movement where it's questionable. It was a full 90-degree move.
It was at a 90-degree turn.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, it wasn't just that, or maybe it was the wind or something like that that's moved a bit, wasn't it? It was an actual, the thing actually did turn round, and all that. And then Sean says, "Do you see that moving?" She said, I saw it, you know. Which is weird because as you guys were there, T and I were doing a mini investigation we got from the Spirit Talker police. Stay a while.
Interesting.
But as you say, you were not talking about where you go. We've found this quite a few times at Loudon. If you ignore them, they tend to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you found that in other investigations or not.
Aye, it tends to be when you get your best activity, is when you're totally ignoring them.
As you know, or when you threaten to leave. We were there with Spig one night, and we weren't getting anything at all. And it was 9 o'clock or something. He says, "Right, we're just going to get packed up, and we're just going to go home. You know, if nobody's wanting to talk to us, we're just going to go." And it was straight after that we started to get activity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I have to say, "Oh no, don't go," well, you know, we will talk to you. But we've had that a few times that, you know, Loudon, if you're not bothering with them, then they'll do something to say, "Right, well, we're here." It's like you're ignoring a child. You know, a child maybe pulling your trouser leg or something like that to, you know, get your attention. But as Laura says there about, you know, the Spirit Talker police stay a while, I think they like company there.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's definitely that feeling of, like, you are welcome. Almost as if they're happy there's someone new to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Like visiting a relative that you've not seen in a while. They're just glad to see you. Like that sort of feeling.
It's absolutely other people. You'd need to go to. I mean, we can sit here and, you know, talk about it and describe it, but it's like everything. You'd need to go and experience it for yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've said that to folk who, like, if they're interested in any sort of investigation but they aren't too sure whether they're a skeptic or a believer, just go, just get a feel for it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You'll never know until you actually try one and experience it for yourself and see what it's all about. And like, you can watch as much stuff on like all the socials and YouTube and telly. It's not the same. It's never the same until you experience it. Whether that's a full organised event where you're paying tickets and stuff and going to big venues, or whether it's a more intimate and like organic sort of investigation, but whether it's ruins of a castle or whatever, you'll never know until you try it. And I'd say try different ones, because they are all different experiences. So
need two locations are the same.
Yeah, and everyone has that. So your country houses, your castles, your hotels, your museums, they all have a different feeling. It's the same as your ruins and your kirkyards and churches. They all have a different feeling. Churches and kirks especially, because they would be classed as sacred spaces because they are tied to a belief system and a faith. So you're going to get a different feeling and a different energy there than you would in a hotel, for example.
Aye.
They're busy and active and there's lots of stuff going on in the hotel. They're bustling. And that would be different again to a castle, because a castle might be like hundreds and hundreds of years old and it's maybe just a tourist attraction now, but it's got steeped in history, and castles especially are often linked to battles. So again, it's a different form of energy. So every location's, it's going to feel different.
And then, you know, I'll stick Laura's comment up what you say. It's what was I going to say? Gone. Yeah. Aye, it's when you go and it's just, you know, people need to go and experience it for themselves. But and it doesn't. I've said this in many a show. It doesn't need to be like a headstone flying across the yard or something like that. You know, it can be the smallest thing. You know, I mean, like say, as I say, that I think I'm not sure. Seeing that wee girl, you know, did I see her? Did I know? But it puts that thought in your head, you know. Did it, nobody else seen it, you know, and it can be something that just happens to you alone. You know, that's happened to us a few times. We've been out and about, and it's just one person's experienced it and stuff like that. Laura's saying, we'll take what Sarah and I got in the barn when we realised we were getting nothing. The minute we stopped interacting with spirit, everything. The barn up at the farm. We've done 2 investigations there, I think. And as soon as you stop interacting with them, up at the farm, the second investigation we did there, they wanted to talk to the woman, and no me. I get pushed. Oh no, it was the time before that, wasn't it?
I think so. Aye.
The first one, they wanted to talk to Sarah and Laura. Didn't know why they talked to me. You know, so we're thinking that was maybe a woman. Because there was other women there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they would see me as a threat, or he's a man, we're not allowed to talk to him, or, you know, that kind of, again, getting back to what James Dempster's beliefs, maybe the woman was the same kind of frame of mind, but we can talk to women, but we're not allowed to talk to men. You know, but I get pushed as well. And it's wee things like that, you know, it wasn't a major push. I didn't fall my backside, but it was just a wee kind of shove. You know, and that was it. Again, let's get back to saying it doesn't need to be anything big and major. I mean, the Kirk, you know, the branch moving, the torch. I found the torch real interesting. We've never actually used a torch in investigation, so we might steal that one off you. Maybe just try it in the future.
It was Paul, actually, we'd never used that technique either until Paul introduced us to it. And I'm like, why have I never done this before? Because you always get good hits with the torch. And it's when you get intelligent responses, like make it brighter, can you turn it off? One of the investigations, I think it was at Solway, it did like a strobe effect, and Paul was like, that torch isn't designed to do that. It doesn't have a strobe. You know how some torches you push it twice and it will do like this flash? This one didn't have that. You put it on, you put it off, and that's it. But it was like strobing, and he's like, I don't know why that's doing that. It shouldn't, like. And then we were like, can you stop? And then it stopped. And I'm like, it's good because everybody can see it. It's not, sometimes the K2 can be hard to see, and people go, it might just be atmospheric changes, but the torch, it needs to be manipulated. Something needs to physically touch it to make it go on and off. So I like it. It's a good tool. Very simple.
I think we're going to try that one as well. But I mean, the K2, we love the K2. We've used it for hundreds of other teams do as well. But as you say, sometimes it can be hard to see. You know, and if it's during the day, it can be a bit of a bugger to see if it's actually lighting up or not. But with a torch, you can't mistake it going on and off. And I was quite fascinated by it because it did. I think we asked, can you make it brighter, and it did get brighter. And then it dimmed back down again, and then it came back on.
What's interesting as well is it's not got a dimmer function either, so it shouldn't dim. It should just go on and it should just go off, and that's it. It shouldn't get brighter. It shouldn't get darker. On and off are the two functions it has. So when you see it dimming and like, it's almost like it's breathing when it's like going to like dim and then bright and then like. I can't explain that. I don't know why it does that, because it shouldn't. It doesn't have that function.
Just as fascinating when things do things they're not meant to. You know, and I know there's people on YouTube and they use torches and so the lights flashing on and off, but they're doing it themselves just off the camera. Always seems to happen off the camera. Do you know what I mean? But see, I was right beside this, but I was about a couple of feet away from the torch. And just sitting watching it, thinking, right, well, somebody's making that go off, you know.
I think Paul got that recorded on his phone as well, so we'll need to, because he sat his phone up in the tree on the floor. So I'm hoping that he's captured that.
I was also thinking that, is that because it's something new? I'm not saying other teams haven't used torches there, but we've never done it, but it's just maybe because there's something new for, you know, the spirits that were there. they want to, you know, they're curious and want to poke about with it and try it out. Can I? Laura say, I think one of the best validations we had was at the train station when Sarah's name was called. She will explain. I read at the train station in Kilmarnock a couple of times, a couple of years ago, and down the stairs, as the bakery girls said that there was activity that they would start about 5, 6 in the morning, and there was always like doors. You could hear doors opening and swinging and stuff like that. So we done investigations there, and the doors that are there now are like security doors, and the corridor in the basement. It's well lit, you know. It's used every day, but it's quite claustrophobic sort of thing. And so one of the investigations we done, Sarah was there, and what was it that happened? We
were in the corridor, and it came up trapped or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, who's trapped? If that comes up my name, I'm going to run away. And then it came up my name.
Aye, that's right. If I came up my name, and the next word that came up was Sarah. So that kind of freaked her out, you know. Which I love. I love all that kind of stuff, you know.
Again, it's validation, isn't it?
It is validation. I mean, if somebody, you know, I'm not saying it's 100% paranormal, but if somebody can explain that to us, you know, logically, then fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same as yourselves, Kat, you're open to all different explanations and what have you. And if there is a logical explanation for it, then fair enough.
Yeah. It's like when folks say if you get equipment and stuff, and they're like, oh, it's just that it's malfunctioning. And I'm like, right, okay, if it's malfunctioning, one, why is it malfunctioning when I'm asking it to? And two, if I was to just sit that in my living room and watch it for a day, it's not going to, it doesn't do anything. If I sat a torch in my living room and never asked anything, never did anything, just left it sitting, same with a K2, same with anything else. If I left it there and just watched it for a day, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't go on and off. Nothing happens with it. So how can it malfunction at investigations, but it doesn't malfunction any other time? It only seems to do things when we ask something to happen. And again, that it's almost like trying to get negative. So when you're at the investigation, you're asking it to do something. It's like active. You're actively interacting. When you're doing your getting your baseline, you're not interacting with it, not doing anything, nothing happens. If I was to sit it in my living room and it constantly went on and off without me interacting with it or asking anything, I'd be right, okay, it's broken, it's malfunctioning. But and with the same way, whatever equipment you've got, you'll in your house or wherever you keep it, it's never done anything. I'll have it out on charge. I'll have it if I'm just doing an inventory or whatever. It never goes on and off. I've had K2s sat to test them and check them, and I've checked them against electronics and stuff. I've had them sitting out in random places and they've not picked up anything. Same with the torches, same with the cameras, everything, and nothing happens. But yet when I call out and I think there's some spirit activity, stuff seems to happen.
They can't explain it. I mean, Mark, 2 things, you know, K2, I know there's 101 times can interfere with it, you know, but our way of thinking is if you get a K2 that's sitting dormant for, you know, a length of time, and then you ask a specific question, can you make that go yellow? If your name's James, can you make that go yellow? And it goes to yellow, and then it goes back down. Leave it quite a few minutes, and then ask something else. And you know that you have had it happen to you. So can you make that go to yellow again? And it goes to yellow again. And then it goes back to being dormant. And you think, well, what's making that? You know, why is it not going all the time? You know, when I ask a question, the light moves. So explain that to me as well. And the other thing, there was one time one investigation we did at Loudon, just the headstone just behind you're standing facing the Dempster plot, the headstone behind you. But I had a K2 on one side and a cat ball on the other side, and the K2 kept going off. So I says, with an idea who it was, the gentleman's name is Ian. And I says, well, Ian, if this is you, can you step away from that box and make that ball go off? And straight away the box died and the cat ball went off. And I think, well, you know, I'm not saying we're amazing or saw all of that, but you think, well, explain that to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've just asked somebody to do it, and the box went dead, and the cat ball started flashing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't explain that, you know. It's impossible. I've sat a cat ball in my life for months, nothing happens. The minute I ask for interaction from a deceased, I was going to say deceased dog or cat, Shelly dog, you gotta get interaction. Scottish doctor, you can verify. Listen, I have video evidence to prove it. But I mean, you're always going to get people that are going to doubt it and say, you know, it's faulty equipment. And I dare say there will be a random time where it will be, you know, your K2's gone in a blink or something like that. But it's when you get positive reaction.
Yeah. So if they can explain away by saying it's faulty equipment, I get that, right? That's fine. But explain to me then how at other times it's not faulty. Why is it faulty at this particular time, but it's not faulty any other time? If you can explain that, then fair enough. But there is no explanation.
There isn't any explanation. As I said earlier on, if somebody has got an explanation for it, then I will sit down and listen to it. You know, if it can be explained away naturally.
And many a time we've been in buildings and we'll have the K2 going off or the motion sensors, and we'll be like, no, this isn't. It's too active, and we need to. There's something interfering with this. It's either electronics or cars going by in the street that's causing vibration on the floor, or people walking up and down. So we'll move the equipment. We don't say everything's unexplained every time something happens. We will actively debunk things and move things to get the most accurate readings. And there's some places where you just can't use that equipment because there's some buildings that just got so much computers and electronics and cables that it's just ineffective, and that's where you have to go back to your old school and just totally forget about the electronics and the motion sensors because they just won't work because there's too much interference.
It's basically the K2, you know, I mean, we always try to do our investigations as a live. Now, I know the phone can set the K2 app, which is fair enough. And there have been times where, you know, we've been at Loudon, for example, and the K2's been going off, and you think, well, is that my phone? So you step back a wee bit and it stops going, you know, and then you're carrying on with your live, and the K2's sitting dead, and then it goes off again. And you think to say, well, if that's my phone, why is it not going constant? Because you've not moved. You know, you took a few steps back and you're standing, you know, a certain distance away from it. You think, well, if my phone's making that go off, why is it not making it go off all the time now? Because it's the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And people say, oh, it's your phone that's doing it. So you say, well, can't it be my phone? Because, and then you move further away and it still goes off. I say, well, nobody else is near it. So why is that going off? There's absolutely no explanation for it. If anyone could explain the car thing, I love an explanation. If my mum picks me up and my son, it doesn't happen. No in Scott's car. Maybe they know how Scott drives. Nothing wrong with my driving. Right? That's unbelievable. You slagged off again. So you took quite a lot of photos, and some of them were quite interesting. Did you have another look at them?
Yeah, so Maggie, who was it? So Sean and Paul were taking photos. I was just taking like scenic photos. I didn't get much of my photos, but Paul and Sean were taking photos not at the same time, but in the same location. And I don't know why, but every time Sean tried to take a picture, there was always some sort of weird interference, or weird light anomalies. I'm not saying orbs or anything, it was like just strange. Like it's almost as if when he took the photo, it's bounced back off something, so it's caused a big reflection in the picture, so it's just a whiteout. There's nothing in the picture. But then Paul would take a photo at the same place of the same thing, and his photo would be fine. And we're like, Sean, is there something wrong with your phone? So he'd then go and take a photo somewhere else, and it worked fine. This was at the if you go in and then to the left, just at the back of the
crypt.
crypt, in there, and I've seen Maggie had a look at them, and she and Sean, they thought they could see a couple of figures in amongst the trees, just where at the other side of the wall, I think there was a wee stream. It was down there. So I think, what is it they said? Sean reckoned that one of the photos, it looked as if there was, and it was almost like stick figure type, so not like a full person. It was almost like their skeletal frame, and it looked like a person next to maybe an animal, because it was bent on all fours. And I think they said there was one that maybe had a woman in it. Again, just in like kind of skeletal type structure, so not like a full person. And there was again the strange. There was one. There was a weird red rod across.
I showed me that one. No, I don't. I'm not a photo expert. You know, Sarah Lord will tell you, or Edward Rose will tell you. That it showed me that photograph, and I looked at it. And I don't know. Because you know, it was getting dark. It's not if there's any lampposts or anything like that. You know, that could reflect halfway. So, what's caused that?
And it wasn't. Now, when it's bugs and stuff, you can they've got a weird like smudginess to them, and they're you can kind of see through them a wee bit as they're moving. This was like a straight, solid rod. It was perfectly straight and equal. It wasn't blurry or funny shaped. It didn't have what looked like wings or legs or anything. It was literally just like a straight, I don't know, like a rod. Like there's no other way to explain it.
It's just like a straight line.
And it was solid as well. You couldn't see through it.
So you think, well, I know, you know, you've got the B&B over the, but there's no way that would. I've watched teams that would say, oh, the spirit lights in the trees and stuff. That's a thing that annoys me. But it's no, it's a blooming Airbnb.
Yeah.
And they've got the outside party lights and stuff like that. That's what they say it's spirit lights, you know. I think, no, you just want to scream at the telly or whatever it is you're watching. It's no spirit, it's a hoose. Do you know what I mean?
It's no ghost, hoose. I said as well, I'm like, is it your finger? Did you put your finger over your lens? So he took another photo and he deliberately put his finger over it, and just to see it, and it didn't replicate it at all, because when he put his finger over, it totally obstructed the full picture. But this one, like, you could still see like what he was meant to be taking a photo of.
You can see the majority of the picture, except this one band coming across.
So I'm obviously not a finger.
So that's what I like you guys and the other teams we deal with. You do try and debunk. You know, you look for every possible kind of angle, every sort of avenue. I used to take pictures of Loudon, but I found that I couldn't get good pictures. They were blurry, or the camera couldn't pick up anything. It was weird. I'm not tech expert, but I do know how to take a picture. Take a picture. But see, that's the thing I love about Loudon. You never know what you're going to get. I know you can go to different locations, you know, in each locations, well, there's usually a man here with a hat, and, you know, each location's got its own kind of story behind it. But with Loudon, we've had that much a variety of stuff. We've had the same kind of spirit, you know, as in James Dempster and stuff. But there's times you get something totally out the blue. You know, and even though you've been at that location 30, 40, 50 times, I think that's never happened before. You know, I mean, there was one time we were doing it with Spig, and I had the headphones and the blindfold on, and I was standing just against the crypt wall in the corner, and everybody else was standing over beside that kind of monument where we left our bags, and I get this strong smell of perfume. And I told one of the girls who came out, because obviously you can't see.
Yeah.
But this happened twice, 3 times I was standing, and it was to my left. I kept looking there to the left, I smell of perfume. And I says, so after I says, one of the lasses came out, I said, nobody's moved, we've all been standing here. I said, why? Because smell perfume. And then I was standing in the group, and I got the smell again. And I said, can you not smell that? And you know yourself, Kat, is in the middle of the fields, I think the last thing you're going to smell is there's going to be another smell you'll get. No perfume, you know what I mean? But can you, none of you speak with you? Can you no smell that? No, we can't. But it was a strong smell of perfume. And that crypt is the burial vault of the Campbell family. And there has been a lady reported to have been seen getting in and out of there spirit-wise. So I started thinking, well, was that her? You know, was that her passing through? But it was really, really strong. But that's the thing I like about Loudon. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And people say, do you not get fed up going to the same location? As you said, Kat, sometimes it can take a wee while to ramp up. You know, especially if you take a new team. And then it's like everywhere, spirit, you know, they're sussing you out and stuff like that. And so what did you make of the area behind the no behind, to the left of the Dempster plot?
So if you're facing the Dempster plot and then the left, like to the left and then up a wee bit like that.
Aye.
Yeah. So Sean, I'm sure, picked up. I think he said that he felt like a male. So there was part. He said there was part of the Kirk. I think if you went to the left of that and then forward back towards the gate, he said that there was an uneasy feeling there. But up to the left, it was like a warmer feeling. And he says that it was just as he was crossing, he's like, "Oh, I'm not welcome here." In fact, where the grave where you seen the wee girl, the Celtic cross. So if you're facing the Celtic cross, looking towards the back fields, that's where he felt uneasy. So he crossed it, walked past it, and that's where he heard the woman talking.
I'm going to come to that. Just get back to Celtic Cross. That's actually, I was telling one of you guys that the Celtic, that's not a grave. For months and months, we thought it was a grave. But there was no names or anything on it, and we could never ever work it out. It turns out that it's part of a headstone that's fell off. The grave's elsewhere in the kirkyard.
Ah, okay.
And for some reason, they put it there, you know. But we always thought it used to really puzzle me, and I think it was Laura's man, Craig, that actually found out. He said, well, why is there no name on this grave? You know, so you start thinking, you know, maybe you're a bad monk or bad priest or something like that, and they're just, you know, there's no name to the grave, but it turns out that's no actually a grave. Let's stick these up. Laura's saying, my interaction with Lottie Dempster plot with the Ghoul Gang, she asked for me specifically. I reminded her of her mum. She said, probably white flowers meant a lot to her now. Every time I go, I take white flowers, say therefore, you Lottie. She never came through again. But I will never forget the interaction with you trying to bring flowers. When we went with Rosie and Emma, there was a lady called Charlotte. I think she passed through about 25 years old. And she preferred to be called Lottie. She was coming through as a little girl, and she was asking for Laura specifically, but not the voice. Now this is something. This is one of these things that it's kind of like 50-50. Can you tell us what happened? Also, I was there. I know what happened, but
so he's walking towards the back, that part of the kirk, and he said he heard a woman say something along the lines of, are you coming, or are you coming in, or come on then, something along the lines of, like, are you coming? Like, come on. Like, and then that's when he was like, oh, there must be, he kept over the walls, like, there must be folk here. Because it was clear as day, it wasn't a whisper, it wasn't, like he thought there was somebody there. Like walking, and then he's like, "There's nobody there. I don't know what's going on." And then he said to us, "Oh, was it one of yous? Was it?" And I'm like, "I don't know what the script is with the talking and the woman." And I'm like, "What did it say to you, or what did it say?" And he's like, "Oh, So I think he thought it was someone walking their dog, and they were saying their dog, all right, come on then, you coming, come on. But there was, I don't know, I never looked on the other side of the wall, so I don't know what was there. I don't know if it was a field or a path or a road.
Well, see, I didn't realise there is a house in that field, but it's the Sarah-in-law probably correct me if I get this right. It's no right next to that wall, because I remember Sean saying no, it was just on the other side of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But where the house is, it's possible somebody was out walking their dog, cat, whatever, you know. But you know that would maybe explain it. But for him to say that it was right next to the wall, there's nothing on that side of the wall.
It was literally the other side of the wall. It was close enough that they could have been in with us.
And he would have seen, because you know I remember it was dark, so whoever it was would have some kind of torch with them or something, surely.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm not saying it was definitely a spirit, but see, you need to look at both sides. Was it somebody for that house out walking in the field, or was it? See, that's one of the interesting ones. You know, if it happens again on a future investigation, there's Laura saying the house is a bit away. There's nothing but animals on that side of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And in all, we've been allowed to cut all different times, day and night, and we've never heard anybody out walking.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a strange place to go, I think, for a walk, because I don't think would you take, because you wouldn't take a dog in with animals. You wouldn't. That's like against code, isn't it? You wouldn't take a dog out in the field that's already got livestock in it.
Dog walkers do go down there, but they park at the car park and they walk along the road.
Aye, they don't go into the field.
They don't get into the field. They just follow the road, wherever it is they go. But they don't, and there's no any road that takes you right round to the other side of that wall. It's all fields.
Aye,
there's a road that takes you to the B&B, but then that stops. That's nowhere near where Sean heard the woman.
Yeah, so where he was, the Airbnb would have been down to the right, and over that wall, he was the very back wall, as if you walk straight in the gate and just keep walking straight. It was that wall at the back.
See, there's nothing.
Other side of that.
There's nothing there, and the house is basically the other end of the field. So you wouldn't hear. You wouldn't hear anybody talk, and you'd be able to distinguish. You know, you can tell if a voice is next to you or it's some distance away. You know, so you would be able to kind of distinguish in that. And that's something else we've never had. So, I mean, the torch going on, the branch turning, you know, that hearing that woman, stuff like that. It's never happened before. All right, we've never used the torch before, but you know, like the branch turning, that was just so unbelievable. You know, that's something that will stick with me for quite some time. But that, I mean,
I don't know how to get cool. I think if I saw that, I would have lost my mind.
You think you would have ran?
I think I would have just got so excited and been like, "Oh my god!" I think I would have scared the spirits away.
See, I think when something like that happened, I'm not trying to sound professional or sort of, because it's far from it. If something like that happens, then if somebody else sees it at the same time, I think the best thing today is no kind of go nuts, because you might scare the spirit away. But you try and kind of remain kind of calm. This is just my way of thinking. I might be totally wrong. To see if they'll maybe do it again. You know. Try doing our own. But I took, as I said earlier on, the girls wouldn't get done the back end of the cup, down to the Dempster plot day or night. They just wouldn't entertain it. So one night I think it was actually Halloween. Maybe, no. One night I took Laura down and dumped her at the Dempster plot in Bugger. I didn't go to McDonald's or I was in the car. You know, I didn't go to Tesco or anything. I should have actually. She just went to Tesco, but she was. We did it as a live, so I could see her. You know, on the live, and she, you know yourself, she was a minute, seconds away from me. But I was in mid-October and it was pitch black. And I don't even think I gave her a torch. I can't mind if I gave her a torch. Do you mind if I gave her a torch?
I think you did.
Did I? I wasn't going to give her a torch. I was going to be a right B, but I gave her a torch and just say, right. And I think it was 30 minutes. I said, I'll see you in about 20 minutes. And just left her. But it let her realise that there was nothing negative there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she wasn't going to get chopped up into little pieces and put in bags or anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Sarah's the same. There came a point, what's your opinion on this? There came a point at Loudon where the atmosphere changed. It's going to sound nuts, it's hard to describe, but we walked into the place and as you said at the start, it was welcoming.
Mm.
You know, when we first, I don't know, a couple of years we felt, you know, there is people here, blah, blah, blah. But the atmosphere kind of shifted if I have to say, oh, you're back, come on in.
There was definitely a change. So I know exactly what you're talking about. See so the second time we went to the corner with the twig and all that moving, everything felt fine. See when we walked in, it was like walking into a freezer and we could see her breath. And I was, it took me, I paused and was like, because it was like so tactile, you could actually feel the difference. Like, and I stopped Paul, I'm like, Paul, because he was beside me, I'm like, it's freezing here, it's freezing. And it was not a freezing cold night by any means. Like, it was mild, it was dry.
It was quite mild.
It had been sunny during the day. There was no wind. It wasn't stormy. And then when we got to that back corner, the second time, it was like walking in a fridge. That's when it was freezing. And I think Sean actually said, he's like, the atmosphere's pure shifted here, hasn't it? And I'm like, I'm glad you said that, because it definitely did. And it wasn't just by a wee bit, it was like a big change, but not just in temperature, like in feeling as well. It was almost as if we'd overstayed our welcome.
Aye, you get, I'll just go just comment and come back to that. I know you mean, I realise that vigil had nothing to fear, not even James Dempster. That night became not friends, but an acceptance of each other. Prior to that, I thought I'd not get near the Dempster plot. So we've had responses for James Dempster in the past. He's here, his whole family's there, and so he's there watching over his family, basically.
Okay.
That kind of explained to us why he kind of goes up and down. I mean, we weren't the only team that said it. Every other team says, "Aye, he's going up and down." You know, Cat Armstrong picked him up really, really strongly. He's going back and forward and back and forward. And there's quite a few times. I mean, I'm no psychic or anything, but I've been standing and I felt somebody standing behind me watching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or you're standing facing the plot and you feel that there's somebody to the right standing on the other side of the railing, just watching, keeping an eye out, basically. But I would say about the atmosphere changing, and you know, we've had that a couple of times where you've been having a good investigation, and then it just goes boom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it might sound daft, but it feels like the spirit says, right, we've had enough for today.
Mm-hmm.
We're away, you know, and come back another time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that the kind of feeling that you've got?
Near the Dempster plot, it was almost like, right, well, it's time to go from here. But it's almost like they've got bored of us, and it's like, right, we've met you, we'll see you later. Moving towards the back corner, it was like a different. Do you remember I said it felt like there was somebody that didn't belong?
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like on the path, there was, like, on that side, there was something or someone on the path that were wanting in but couldn't get in. They didn't belong there, but for whatever reason they were trying to come through, or they wanted to be there, or I don't know how to explain it. It just was like they couldn't come off the path. They had to stay like this. That was a boundary for them, and they might have been on the other side of the wall. I don't know, but they couldn't get off that path, and they wanted to be further into the Kirk. I don't know if it could be that they've got family that's there and they weren't. I don't know how it all works with the faith and religion. Maybe they weren't of that faith, so they're not allowed to enter the Kirk. I don't know what it is, but it felt like there was a frustration of someone there because they wanted in but they couldn't get in.
You see, because I told me what you says, and I found that really, really weird and interesting as well. Because you told me that before I told you that the path wasn't consecrated.
Yeah, that's right. Because I didn't know. It wasn't till the end of the night we were leaving that I was told that.
So you told me that prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, is it possible that, you know, as you see, faith came back? You know, you don't know how it was. Pardon me, we know by history and stuff that some of the faiths were kind of weird. No offence to them, but they were really, really strong beliefs, etc.
Yeah.
So is it possible that this individual wasn't a believer in God, basically,
mm-hmm.
and that he knew that bit of ground's consecrated, it's blessed. I'm not allowed to go in there because I don't believe in, or had they done something bad, and he thought he might not be welcome there.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew he was safe on the consecrated ground. I know what I'm trying to say. It might sound nuts, but I just found it real interesting when you said, no, he's just sticking to his path. He's not going to go in that grass. Well, that's consecrated, but this isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the reason for it?
So I didn't know that. I just assumed that everything within the perimeter of the wall, I just assumed it was all consecrated. And then it wasn't until the end of the night when we were actually getting in our motors to go. That's when it was mentioned. Oh no, the path isn't. It's just gas.
When do you ever sound nuts? All the time, my dear, all the time. But even the path itself's interesting. As you said, so as I said earlier, I'm so glad that you picked up on the footsteps and whispering. Because many a time we've been there and people, and it happened a lot when we, Rosie and Emma, we kept looking over to that side of the yard. And there was a guy comes in our chat sometimes, Dennis, he's a medium. The guy's spot on, and he said during that investigation, he was in the chat and he said there's somebody, he was saying he was getting feeling it was some kind of monk or something. There's somebody standing when the tree's watching you. But you always, yourself, you always get that feeling that there's people walking about the yard. And I'm not talking about the Dempsters or anything like that. I'm talking about just there's other people just walking about, And we have got evidence that they do talk to each other. Because it's always baffled me that, not baffled me, it made me curious that if you get a spirit for the 19th century and one for the 17th century and they're in the same place, are they aware of each other? Can they see each other? And we've had EVPs where we've had maybe various individual spirits talking to each other.
Yeah. We've had that a few times with the necrophonic, where you're trying to communicate with them and it's like they're totally ignoring you and they're just happy to be chatting to each other. And it's like you're interrupting their conversation.
You shouldn't be there. I mean, the first time, I always, when I start to mention the house, the farm, which I should have done on Friday, I never even thought actually, I should have done it on Friday. Every time you mention the farm, you get some kind of interaction round about the Dempster plot.
Okay.
Because the last time I did Loudon was with Riggett Spig, and we weren't getting much of it, and I said, we'll mention the farm. And we did, and we started to get more activity. I don't know why I didn't think of that on Friday, but a couple of times I've said, I was up at the house, I was up at the farm, and the first EVP we got, I'm sure it was a woman, says, Scott was up at the house. Clear as a bell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to think, who's she telling?
Yeah. Who's she talking to?
Aye, who's there that she's talking to that Scott's been up at the house?
Mm-hmm.
And we've had EVPs, you know, here comes Sarah. We've had EVP, one time Sarah was in the investigation, we go to EVP, where's Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
And it always seems to be women. You know, Laura's name's been mentioned as well. My name gets mentioned quite a wee bit. But when you mention the farm, you always get some kind of response.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time, I need to admit, I don't know to say, I don't know why the hell I didn't think he'd do that on Friday. It's one of these things, but it's after you leave or a couple of days later, you get to talk about, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You know, have you ever had that kind of,
Should have done that.
you should have done this, and so you try and make a mental note for next time. So what did the rest of your team think about Loudon? I'm always interested in people's, no, it's no our location or anything, but we've grown quite attached to it, you know.
They want to go back. They feel it's very, it's got lots of potential. And they'd quite like to go back. Try a couple of different things.
A few teams have said that it's got a lot more to offer. So we've been doing, and it was maybe the best part of a year we were there for. We were getting wee bits and pieces, you know, cat ball, K2, going off, stuff like that. But it was maybe the best part of a year before we got any real activity. You know, and I know Spirit, as far as we know, doesn't have any sense of time, so it might seem like a day to them, you know, whatever. But I think it's the kind of place where, well, a lot of places, you need to earn their trust first.
Yeah. You need to build a rapport, don't you, and show that you're there as friends.
And once you're accepted into the fold kind of thing, you know, then they'll start to get their interaction with you, because they do remember. You know, a lot of people think, oh, spirits don't remember that. But as I was saying, I think it was Sean I was talking to a couple of Christmases ago. Craig Loris has been doing the week before Christmas, and I took down a wee doll and a wee train, because we knew there was at least a little girl there. So I put the train in the wee wooden thing and the Dempster plot, and I hung the doll up on the tree, the left-hand side near the Celtic Cross. And I said, look, it's nearly Christmas. We thought we'd come down, bring a wee gift for the kids, you know, for the children. Happy Christmas. And we went back in the January, and we done an event. In fact, Rosie Cardy was up with time. And I says, can you tell me what gifts we left for the children? And we got back toy train, doll, and angel. Through the necrophonic. And it was as clear as a bell. And, you know, we'd done it again with marbles as well. Sarah came up with the idea of doing marbles. So we left marbles because it was something that would have been familiar to kids back during that time. And again, Rosie was there. And we said, we left another gift. Can you tell me? And it said back marbles. And so it does show that they do remember, they are watching, they do remember you. And, you know, when they came back, toy train, we were kind of, did I just say toy train? You know, a monkey with a balloon, do you know what I mean? You're like, that's a toy train, didn't it? You know, as if you're, you know, you're solved global, you know, sorted global warming or something. That's a toy train, didn't it? You know, and you get that kind of wee buzz because it validates what you've been thinking. You know, and if you do it on a live, then that's how we like to do things on a live, because it lets people see and hear
in real time
what we're seeing here. You know, as we've done, no doubt you guys have as well, and there's been sod all. You know, so right, we're getting nothing. We're going to just wrap up and get him, and then you get a wee flicker of cat ball. Thanks for the great live. It was great hearing another team's thoughts on how they felt at a location close to PIH's heart. That's our look. It's no look. See these people that say that's our location. It's no. I hate teams like that. Do you ever had teams that says that?
Are there like exclusive access and stuff like that?
Aye,
It's like,
exclusive access to a graveyard. I say bollocks. The gates open, you go in.
mhm.
You know, I mean, there are a couple of places we've been fortunate to get access to, like the Covenant's prison. You know,
Mhm.
the vaults during the day when nobody else has been allowed in. We've been able to get in. But it's when you get these monkeys that say, "Oh, it's exclusive access, just our location." And, you know, I'm not going to say what you think, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
I think you're talking crap. So so your team wants to come back to Loudon.
They do, and the ones that missed it want to come back as well because they feel like they missed out.
Have you ever done any other location similar?
I think individually folk have, but not as a team. I'm sure Sean and Maggie have done. Is it Greyfriars in
Mhm.
Edinburgh? I don't think the rest of us have done anything like that. Usually it's all indoors, and I don't think anyone's done. I think William's maybe done the necropolis, but no, not myself and Daniel. We've not, and Liz in our team. She wasn't there either. We've not done anywhere like that, so it's good. It was a nice change.
And see, we're too tight-fisted to pay to get in locations. That's how we do the freebies. And we're not ashamed to admit it. That's how we like Loudon. I mean, the necropolis in Glasgow, I've been in there many a time. I was in there the other week, actually. Why was I in there the other week?
Because I was at my driving thing.
Sarah was at a driving assessment, and it was at an hour and a half or something up in Springburn.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, right, well, what can I do? So I went down to the necropolis. I didn't venture to the top of the hill. I'd done that once. Never done it. Have you ever done it?
No, I've never been.
Oh, you need to go. It's an amazing place. It's an amazing place. We take oxygen with you. It's, I mind the first time I did it, you go in and the pass go like that and a zigzag up. You know, don't get me right. See, when you get to the top of it, see the view, you see the whole of Glasgow, basically, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the Bridge of Sighs there. It was the original way in to the necropolis back in the 1800s, kind of. A lot of it's a beautiful place. You know, you definitely need, and you park right next to the gate. You know, but it is a bit of a hike up the hill. I will say that, but it's massive. I didn't realise, even though I'm from Glasgow and I'd been in it quite a few times, it wasn't until about a year and a half ago. And Sarah and her mum went to see the script.
Yeah.
And in Glasgow, so I went to the necropolis. And it was only then that I realised there was another bit at the back behind it's beside the Tennant's Brewery. There was another section to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd walked around it, I thought, what's through it? And then I walked through this hedge, I thought, there's a big bloody section down here. They never knew it. But you definitely need to go. I'd like to investigate there. But then with Greyfriars, you're actually not allowed to investigate in Greyfriars now. I don't know how it stands with the necropolis. I know teams have been in, you know, and investigated, but one wee Kirk, I think I said this to you before, that I'm wanting to get in, is that wee Kirkyard in the village in East Kilbride.
Yeah. Aye. At the church.
Aye. I would love to get past that thousands of times, no doubt you have. I would love to get in there.
Their gate's always locked unless it's church day.
Every time I've been, the bloody gate's locked.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, surely they must open the gate at some point. You know.
Any time I've been by, it's been locked, unless church is on. Unless there's a service or a wedding. You can't get in.
I mean, I know you've got the big cemetery down the back of the village, but that's kind of modern one.
Yeah.
You know, and you think, well, I don't really fancy investigating there, but I'd love to get into that wee one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've been wanting to get in there for decades, and I doubt it's very, very much is going to happen now.
I think because it's still a very active church, I think it's more for security as well. I think because we're at sea, it's right next to the pubs.
Mm-hmm.
They just lock it to keep it safe, really.
It's next to I've been in there a few times. What's the name of the pub again?
The Monty.
The Monty. Aye, Montgomery Arms.
I reckon that's probably haunted as well. That and the Torrens, because they're pretty old.
They are quite old. The Monty, aye, that because you've got the. It shows you how old that building is because you've got the stone at the front.
The Loudon stone.
Aye, to get on the
Go on your horse.
Go on your horses.
So the Monty. No, wait a minute. I think the Monty is one of the oldest pubs, and the Torrens originally was a coaching. Like
a coach house.
So that's probably dates about the same time. I think a lot of the other buildings round about are ruins, they're demolished. And then you've got the Crotherland on the way to Straven, so on the outskirts of East Kilbride. That was built in the 1700s. It's at a hotel. I hear that's haunted. There's also a cave nearby there. The Crotherland Cave. I don't know exactly where it is. I think it's on the boundary between Calder Glen and the Crotherland. Somewhere down there. Apparently it was used by smugglers and stuff, and when they were making their own alcohol back in the day. And also there's a family no crypt, like there's bodies buried basically from a family that were, I can't remember the family, but the ones that were linked to the I think the Hamiltons and folk around there, but I don't know where they are buried. Their original resting place was vandalised, I think, in the 40s. So the family that were still alive had the bodies moved to another location to stop any further like damage or desecration. But I don't know where they were moved to. In the old original store, they poured concrete over it. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it was just to stop vandals. So there's a bit of history around there as well. And before it was a hotel, the Crotherland was a house. So a house built in the 1700s, so there's going to be somewhat have happened.
Aye, there's going to be somebody still kicking about there, but I mean that's the thing we used to say it's a modern town. You know, I think it still classes a new town.
Yeah. It's a modern town that was built on ancient land. That's got connections. I'm sure there's was it Wallace? It was used as like a throughway almost between Ayrshire and Glasgow, the Highlands and Lowlands, because you had the is it a watchtower? It's a private residence next to the what's the lake? Man-made lake. The Heritage Park.
Aye, up at we were up there the other week, just like this comment about the great live. Guys, thanks again. I'll see you in the morning, Gaffer. I'm on babysitting duty, but promised a row and square and Diet Coke. See the wife, LOL. Don't know anything about that. We was in that park. We were up at the big lake.
James Heritage
Park.
Yeah. So see at the other side of that, you've got the big tower.
Aye.
So that's a private residence. So that was an old watchtower, and the next one's in Blantyre, and there was one I think further up towards East Kilbride, and they were the old watchtowers that they would light if there was an invading army or whoever it was.
The fires.
They would light the fires.
We've been up there a couple of times up and done the walk around the lake. We were looking at that building and reading all about it, the guy who bought it and done it all up. But I mean, I've always said the David Livingstone Museum, I'd love to investigate there.
We did that years ago, and it was quite active. The old schoolroom, we had a lot of activity. I think up in the top floors there was a lot of activity. But one of the things that stood out was in the schoolroom was an old chalkboard, and just like we never done it. It was already set up like this. There was an alphabet written in chalk. And Daniel stood up next to it, and there was like the teacher's lectern thing, so he was just leaning against that. Nobody's paying attention to the chalkboard. All the lights are out. We're doing the vigil. Talkie. We're about to move on. We put the lights back on, and there's a big finger mark down the chalkboard. And there's also a finger mark on Daniel's boots in chalk. So it's as if someone's got chalk in their fingers and then touched his
Mm-hmm.
boots. But nobody was the Daniel the whole time. He was the only one that was stood up there, and we could see him the whole time going against this lectern thing. And it wasn't that we put the lights on, the big smudge down the chalkboard. And I was like, what the actual? That's pretty impressive. However, they've not long over the past couple of years, they've renovated the place.
Mm-hmm.
They've totally, well, in my opinion, they've kind of ruined it. They've completely gutted it. It's not like the original setup. The schoolroom's gone. Like everything's like open plan. Like the floors are all open plan. I think the only original part that they've kept was the room that he lived in, what David Livingston lived in, and the rest it's all open plan floors.
See, I hate when things like that happen. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, the age of the building is going to need some kind of maintenance and stuff, you know, upkeep. But to totally rip it out and make it open plan, it takes away the whole kind of. It's usually, you know, it's
takes away its function. People go. See you later, Laura. People go to see what it was like. Like
they want that feeling.
Yeah, it's like living history, and now it's just a modern. Like nothing's there. Nothing's there to take you back to that time. And I was speaking to we took the kids years ago, not all after opened. And I was speaking to one of the volunteers, and he was like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Oh, what are you sorry for?" And he's like, "It's just not what it used to be." He's like, "We weren't expecting it to be like this." He was gutted. He was gutted that it'd been turned into what it had been turned into. And he said they've spent, whoever the decision makers were, I don't know, they spent a fortune on the plaster on the outside. They wanted it to be the original type plaster. I think it's some sort of wine mix, I'm not sure. And he says, but it's not waterproof. It's there's a reason they don't use plaster like this before, and they've got rough cast.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't, like, it's not sound. And he's like, we've still got problems with it. So all their funds have been spent on trying to maintain this outside rough cast with the original like way they built it. And he's like, they should have just put on modern stuff to protect the building, because when they were doing the renovating, it was delayed, and I think they went over budget because as the building work was happening, they discovered the problems were deeper. There was like rotten wood, and it was structurally unsound, and it was worse than what they expected. So they had to spend a lot of their budget on getting that fixed. And then he's like, what, they've seen the damage that was caused by having water ingress because of this plaster and this rough cast. So why didn't they just use modern stuff to keep the rest of the building safe? And now they're constantly having to maintain this rough cast. So the building's not what it was. And I've tried to get back in to investigate, and they never even get back to me. They wouldn't entertain it. So I don't know if it's new management. I don't know what the script is, but they wouldn't let us in.
Well, it just destroys the whole history. It's like the house in Glasgow, the oldest house in Glasgow, the priest's house up at Cathedral Street, sits right on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
No far for just across the road for the cathedral.
The provosts.
Aye, what did I say? I say the priest, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's been there for centuries, and they've made it all modern looking. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Not the provost one.
The one that sits on the corner.
I didn't know they'd done work to that one.
They've done it all up with the front of it. It's all modern looking. They've resurfaced, whatever you want to call it. The outside it. Remember the original? It was the individual stones and stuff.
Mm.
Well, they've covered all that up.
Are you talking about Proven Hall?
No, up at Cathedral Street, it's the oldest house in Glasgow. See where the Royal was?
Yeah.
Just across the road for the Royal.
Because I know Proven Hall, that was built roughly. There's actually a dispute. Proven Hall and the Lord Provost's house are arguing what came first. And I don't know what came first. But they were built roughly the same time period, so they've got the same architecture. And Proven Hall used to have the exposed brickwork, and now it's got I think it's a yellow rough cast on it. And there was people saying, what you doing? Why you covered it? That's not original. But it turns out originally that did have rough cast. The yellow rough cast. I don't know about the Provost's house, but the Proven Hall did. And they're like, no, this is what it originally looked like when it was first built. But people just assumed, because the rough cast had all disappeared over the centuries, people just assumed it was bare brick, and they're like, no, this was the original. And he said it was similar to like, so now you've got the pyramids in Egypt, they just look like bare stone, but back when they were first built, they had a white plaster.
Aye, it was a white coating to them.
Aye, so they said it's kind of similar to that people just assumed that it didn't have a coating. I don't know about the Provost House though. I don't know about that. I'll be 2 minutes, big girl.
Aye, no, they've done it. They should leave these buildings alone. Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
going to go that because I don't remember. I'm going to see that now.
They should just. I might have it wrong, but it sits right across for the Royal, just across the road for the cathedral and what have you. And you think, no, because I was used to the old brick, big stones and stuff, and then they went and done all that, and I think, that's crap. It just takes it, the whole kind of history. But we'll wind up there. I know it sounds like your little one was hunting you down, and my little one's appearing in the background, and we've got a wee pal staying. But I will get you back on. So what's next for Unlocked Paranormal?
23rd of this month, we're at Old Gal House down the Borders Way, and then on the 25th of October we've got a Halloween investigation, which is at McLean Castle, which is really, really good. That's our last 2 investigations of the year, and then we're going to look at trying to get some more team investigations on the go, trying to get more content, just trying and scope out places that we haven't been to, suss them out first before we decide if we're going to do public investigations there as well, because we like to try and suss out places before we do big events.
Right. Well, there's a couple of places down here we can give the name of, but we could get that organised. But we'll definitely get organised to get you back to, I was going to say Proven Hill. It was from Loudon. Loudon. I don't know what Proven came from. That's because probably you're talking about Proven. But I'll just keep you for a wee sec, definitely come after you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
I'll just know, I didn't realise we've been on so long. That's my bad.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, that's it. That's it, exactly. So go and get Unlocked Paranormal. We look up on Facebook. See, we were with them on Friday, and it was a really good night, a really great team. And we will be hooking up with them again. But we're going to wind up there. So we're out on Wednesday, weather permitting, for a wee daytime investigation at Stair. The only problem is there's absolutely no signal, so we're going to try and record it if possible. And then we're out this Friday with Forth Valley Paranormal. At Dunmore House. That may be a place, Cat. This is your first time going there. I'll let you know how it is. So we're over there on Friday night with Tommy and Scott for Dunmore House. And that's it, folks. So thanks very much. Oh, the random question will be up tomorrow as well, my weekly random question. So that's really it. All right, folks. So big thanks to Cat and her team. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care. Cheers. Bye. Bye.